Good day, good night, all. CFR Network, CFR News. Thank you and thank yourself for tuning in and surviving another day. I have a returning guest, special guest, the sibling, the one and only, Adeji Dave. How art thou, sir?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm all good. Yeah, I know you're blazingly hot there. It's kind of up and down here. It's been raining early on this morning, so yeah, not as hot as you are.
Indeed. I mean, look, Dave, we are in summer. We are in summer. Let's rewind 30 years ago. We'd have blue skies constantly from sort of May onwards until late September. So we it's good when it comes. A lot of the times it's only on
Well, what's funny is when they keep saying that this is the hottest June on record when we all know it rained like hell, and then they alternate, or they're saying, oh yeah, this. Oh, well, actually, it's very confusing. One sort of source says it's the hottest on record, then some other source says it's the wettest ever, right? And then there's another source says, oh, we're in for a heat wave.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I actually remember the real heat wave. 1976, the summer that didn't seem to end.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a real heat wave. We've not come anywhere near close to anything like that since.
Sustained heat for not
and
just
yet, and yet
a
they're
week.
calling it like a climate emergency, and it's going to be terrible, and all the red sort of stuff on the graphs and all that. No.
Yes, it's trickery, sir. It's trickery.
Of course it is.
These technological wizards have advanced their skills rather than just the sleight of hand techniques. They have a flicker rate, which we were all utilized to view information, and then they have this uncanny knack of just throwing lots of information at us, just overwhelming us with information on a daily basis, not even a daily basis, on a minute by minute basis, depending how much the user is addicted to the crack phone. Now, if it's the youngsters,
and
their whole life is the crack phone. So this is the socially engineered, populi, which has been, now they're 20 plus. They have jobs, they have power and control over a workforce potentially, and they have been manipulated and what's the word? What's the other word? Their maniacal intent to transform what was an interesting place, full of strange people, good people, indifferent people, but we all kind of got together. Now it's divide and conquer shall be the thought of the day, sir.
Well, yeah, more than that. I mean, it's the world's turned into a very bland place. It's very vanilla now, and yeah, everything. People have been turned vanilla. You're not allowed to say anything about anything these days. Well, initially because you get censored on YouTube, but I think it's also sort of spilled over into real life, the censorship.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of distraction, a hell of a lot of distraction out there, and I think what they're distracting us from is the slow dismantling of the system. I've been watching a lot of videos of Americans basically venting about the impossibility of life now in America. There's video upon video of people just saying, I don't know how to live anymore. I'm earning six figures and it's not enough. Yeah, and they're sort of like buying a month's worth of shopping, and it's coming out to like $400. Whereas a few years ago it was like 50.
Yeah.
So there's all this flashy stuff on the Goggle box. Trump being shot in the ear and whatever to distract people from the fact that life is being made harder and harder.
Yeah.
so that essentially, well, initially people were going to start to die. To be honest,
And they are.
People are going to commit suicide like crazy.
Well, Dave, look at the zombie apocalypse. Look what happened during the zombie apocalypse. How many people were committing suicide, were starved to death based upon these foolish things that the governments across this plane of existence were doing? People have totally forgot about that. Oh, it saved all of these people. What about the starvation, the violence that was taking place, the murder, the abuse that was going on because of what these people did? And the ripple effect is countries haven't fully recovered. Communities haven't fully recovered from this stuff. It's still happening.
Right. Well, I've actually seen an ad, it wasn't an advert, it was an article showing, I think it was America, showing a suicide bed essentially. Okay. Like a pod that I actually think this idea of med beds, they're actually suicide pods, but
yeah,
that's another thing. But they were showing this kind of like med bed style thing, which was a suicide pod, and they were saying they were offering suicide for people who are financially destitute.
I think I saw this as well. Yes.
Right. So what they've done over the long term is they've forced this commercial financial system on us. Okay, hundreds of years ago, and they've given us, some years of prosperity, so we can see, yes, it's a good thing. Yes, we've had some busts and stuff, but on the whole, many years of prosperity.
Yes.
And so that we get addicted to this. And now they're withdrawing the money.
Yes.
They're literally withdrawing it. And they're doing it sneakily so that we don't see that's that they're doing it. And now, because we're addicted to this idea of money and finances and stuff, we can't see a way of living without it. We'll just get more and more stressed because we can't afford to do things. And subconsciously, we think it's our fault. We think we're not being successful enough, or we don't have a good enough job, or, whatever. It's our fault, though. When the truth is, the whole system was designed so that we don't prosper in it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The mechanism, from what I've seen, it's actually very sneaky. The whole system is based on debt.
Yes.
So all money in existence was lent into existence. Okay, so there's no money that wasn't actually lent, and it isn't actually owed back to someone, obviously to the bank. But the tricky part is that when they lend you an amount, right, they don't create the interest. They only create the amount.
Indeed.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Right. So that doesn't sound like it's much of a problem. But let's say you borrow £1,000. With interest, you owe £3,000. But they only create the £1,000. So where are you going to get the £3,000 to pay them back? Right? Because I only made that one, you owe three. The two you've got to find from somewhere else. Okay, so if there was no money in the world, and I was the first person to borrow money, well, that's a problem. There's no way I can pay off my debt.
Because you're the sole owner of that. You're the sole person with money of currency.
Well, no, because I've borrowed £1,000. Okay, I've spent that £1,000 into the world. Now there is only £1,000 in the world.
Yeah,
but I owe £3,000 with interest. But where's that other £2,000 going to come from? Because it doesn't exist. There's only £1,000 in the world. Okay, so the only way that I'm going to be able to pay my debt is if the bank loans £1,000 to two other people.
Of course.
So now there's £3,000 in the world, and now I can pay my debt off. But now there's two other people who can't pay anything off. So the only way that they're going to be able to pay their debts off is if the bank lends to another 6 people £1,000. You see, it's a Ponzi scheme.
Ponzi pyramid
Right?
scheme. Now,
It only
isn't there just to come back onto that, or well, to question that, based upon fractional reserve lending, why would they need the additional people to get that interest if the one pound or $1 in deposited can be lent out times 10 in imaginary money? Why would they need to have that Ponzi scheme element into it as well?
Because every pound that's lent comes with interest.
Yeah, of course, yes.
So
yes.
every pound's lent, right? Somebody's got to pay back 3, but the other 2 is never created, right? So it's only the principal that's created, not the interest, right? So the only way to pay the interest is to pay principal lent into existence by other people.
Others, yes.
Right. So here, the trick is, as long as the bank is lending, right, lending money out, right, nobody defaults because there's always more money coming into the system, and anyone in it can still can pay their debts off. All the bank has to do is start restricting the number of loans it makes, and then all of a sudden, all the defaults catch up.
Yes.
Because there's not enough money to pay off the previous loan.
Mm.
Right. So that's how they can create a downturn or a recession or a depression. Right. It's just them quietly just restricting the number of loans it makes. And then all of a sudden everybody starts losing their houses, defaulting on things. And that's what's going on right now. They're withdrawing the money, and the defaults are catching up. And as I said, you're going to start to see, loads and loads of people losing their homes, and you're going to see. Well, as I said, I'm looking at these videos on YouTube about Americans.
Yeah.
Well, we know whatever happens in America is going to happen here a few months later.
Of course.
So it's always a good idea. Sorry.
A real world example of that is I like gardening, so I'm out in the gardens, unless it's raining. So I'm doing a little mini renovation on the back garden, and I think the podcast I was listening to had finished. So in the middle of me switching over to another podcast to listen to, I could hear a conversation taking place, and I thought, I'm not being nosy or anything, but I could hear lots of financial information being discussed. And I thought to myself, why would you be outside in your garden talking to your bank about you didn't have enough work this week, so you can't make your payments of an exorbitant amount? The mortgage amount, Dave, was ridiculous into comparison to what the property is. £900 odd mortgage for a property, which, if you're sensible, you shouldn't be paying any more than 5, maybe 6 at the very, 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 very most. And he's, I haven't got it. I'll pay this amount this time. If I pay, and I felt so bad for this guy. But again, at the same time, I'm thinking, take your ass inside and stop telling the world your business. Do you not have any respect or dignity, kind of thing? Like, there's things that you want to put out in the world, and when you're going through hardship, unless you're literally knocking someone's door and saying, look, what do I do, kind of thing, give me some help, give me some pointers, how can I earn some extra money, kind of thing. But doing that, it just shows where we are as a society, I guess.
Sure, but you know what? I think it's kind of a good thing, because there's a taboo about talking about money, about your personal finances in public. Yeah. But who does that benefit? Who does that benefit? That actually benefits the system.
Exactly.
Because as long as we don't talk about, our personal circumstances, everyone can look at everyone else and think, oh, everyone's doing better than me. I'm in trouble, and everyone seems to be doing okay. And what am I going to do? And everybody sort of, you know,
Yes.
Instead, if we realize that everyone's in trouble,
Yes.
right, then we're going to start to realize that, hang on a minute, how can everyone be in trouble? Yeah. If everyone is in sort of, owes all this money to the banks and, and we're all struggling, is that right?
Mm.
Is that the way things should be? Why is that? Why is everybody struggling?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, when you really look into it, there's no reason for everybody to be struggling, because there is only one bank essentially. There are all these different, brand companies. Yes, it's kind of like Currys and Dixons.
Yes, here we go. That'll date some of the listeners.
Yeah, well, okay, so Currys and Dixons are usually in a high street. You see Currys on one side of the street and Dixons on the other, and you might go to Dixons and go, oh, I don't like this CD player. Right, it's too expensive. Well, I'm going to go over to Currys across the street and get one a bit cheaper. You don't realise though that they're both the same company in the end, and they're just playing you off against each other. So
it was the DG Group who owned
it's the
them,
same
wasn't
thing.
it?
Yeah, I can't remember, but it was owned by the same company anyway.
Yes.
But all the banks are the same. So, and when you really look into it, you find that all the banks are essentially owned by one family, essentially who's lending money to everybody.
Would that be the Rothschilds?
Yes, indeed. And so why is the whole world in debt to one family? How does that work? Yeah. Why are we allowing that? Then you have to start asking, why are we as a country borrowing money that we can print ourselves?
Come on, Dave. What you're saying now is very logical. In an illogical world, what you're saying is too logical. What exactly I promised to pay the bearer. We've had these conversations before. I can take this lined piece of paper I have now and write whatever on there. As long as you accept it, that is a unit of exchange. That's an IOU.
Indeed. But again, what if we put the value in people instead?
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If we became we went back to a culture where we know everybody, we know our neighbors,
yes,
we know the people around us, yeah, and we can go, you know what, that Noble is a great guy. Yeah, I don't mind building a shed for him, because I know that he'll make me a decent pair of shoes if I wanted them. Yeah,
this is it.
Or whatever. Yeah?
Barter and exchange. Going back to the most simplest things.
I don't think we even need barter or exchange. Right? If you're doing something that you love doing, right? Mm-hmm. The thing that is you, the thing that inspires you, the thing that you love to do, it's your world. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not about money. It's not about getting something for it. It's about the satisfaction and the pure joy of doing it.
In the essence of what you're saying,
if you said, I
was going to say, in the essence of what you're saying, Dave, that is 100%. But I think in the transitional period, that is going to be the mindset of people. It's going to be, I can provide this product or service, and in exchange for that, and maybe in 2 or 3 generations, the realization will be, well, it's going to happen anyway. I like doing this. You like doing this. There we go. We'll just spread it around kind of thing. We're all sustaining ourselves. We're all happy.
Again, why do you think that we need a transition period? If we had to do it, if all of a sudden everything went down, okay, and we had to do it, there wouldn't be any thought of exchange, because the mechanisms of exchange are all sort of technological, and if we don't have the technological part anymore, we'd have to just do what we like doing for for everybody else because it's survival. Yeah, I know everyone, people feel like they need to continue in the same mode, but in the face of a dramatic change, like everything going down, right? That those thoughts go through out the window.
I agree, but I'll be pragmatic in respect to what I mean by exchange. I know it's still rooted in the traditional sense, but as you say, you love building roofs. I like doing carpentry. So together we can do a house, can't we? So we can shelter ourselves. But let's put a third person in the scenario who's good with agriculture. So we can provide shelter for everyone, but how do we sustain ourselves? By the person doing the agriculture saying, here you go, Dave. Here you go, Noble. I see you doing a good job here. Have some of these potatoes. We want some root vegetables and some other root vegetables to go along with that. Here you go, lads.
But it's still rooted in this idea that the guy owns the potatoes. Yeah, it's not. That's not how it. It would be perceived. Yeah, if we were on a desert island, a load of us on a desert island, right? Well, food is a survival necessity.
Yes.
So the person who's really good at growing food, he isn't growing his food that he might let you have.
Of course, right? It's for the greater good.
He's growing food,
yeah,
right? And it's not like there's nothing to feel resentful about because other people are doing things that are also necessary for survival, right? And also contributing them. I know. It's just that we've been so brainwashed into this commercial financial system that it's hard to see past it.
To kick the habit. It's hard to kick the habit.
Exactly. I've been looking. I've been looking at this idea of the fourth dimension, and what I kind of discovered really is not really discovered. It's stuff that's been known and sort of on the edge of everybody's consciousness, but we're here to experience this place, to enjoy and experience this place, and see what we can do with this place. We're not here to struggle. We're not here to pay bills. We're not here to work even. That's not what we're here to do. The earth is abundant, and if we were to leave this earth to its own devices, it returned to being abundant. Right now, okay, let me go back to where I was. I don't know, back in when I was a kid, right? There were apple trees everywhere. There were cherry trees and pear trees and peach trees and the blackberry bushes and gooseberries and everything.
Yeah, this is it. And we used to go rambling. Come on.
Yes, you'd walk around. As a child, right, when we were out playing in the park, right, we would be running around and stuff, and we'd find an apple tree and we'd just pick some apples, and there was fruit everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay. And some of the owners, remember, Dave, some of the owners would say, hey, you can't take too much of them apples. Come on, get out of it, you.
Scrumping, yeah. but the point is that over the years they've removed all those fruit trees and replaced them with ornamental trees.
Yes.
Yeah. And so they've ring fenced all the fruit bearing trees so that you now have to pay for them. Yeah.
And your exposure.
Commercial financial.
And also your exposure to fruit and the natural process of, an apple comes from a tree. You ask a child or a kid of today where an apple comes from, where a banana comes from, what identify these parts of what you're eating and tell me where it comes from. If it's meat, they will say, it's chicken. Everything's chicken to children. Wait a minute. So that a burger is made of, it's not chicken, it's made out of beef. Oh, okay. This is the dumbing down of the whole plane of existence. It's the older and older I get, the more and more I feel like I'm in my 90s or something. We're not wet lad, Dave. You know, we used to go down the coal mine and stuff. You know, our idea of playing was a hoop and a piece of a stick. You know, it's advanced so I know.
You're much older than I thought then. A hoop and a stick.
I'm exaggerating there, gentlemen and ladies. We're going turn of the century, children's entertainment. But you get the point. It's like we were so in touch with grass stains on our tops and our scuffed knees and stuff, actually playing out, eating, and then knocking at your friend's house. Excuse me. Can Dave come out? Pardon himself. Can Dave come out? We're going to go down to the park. These things are not happening. The fresh air,
No.
the exercise, the falling down, the challenging yourself, the peer grouping. Come on, try and jump onto that high tree, challenging yourself, driving yourself. Maybe even getting into karate or some sort of combat sports, you know, to give you discipline. These are the kind of things, unfortunately. Stacey and Steve, here's your iPads. We've just come from McNasty's. I'm gonna put the microwave meal in. Come down in 15 minutes, or I'll text you, and you can come down and get your food. And that's the kind of relationship that these parents, the pair that rent the children for a prescribed time, that's what they do. That's their relationship. Outside of mom, dad, I need £3,000 because I need to buy this jacket and these pair of shoes. Okay, that's a bit expensive. Give us 2 months and we'll get it sorted. That's it.
Well, the inevitable end to this commercial financial system, though, which is what we're seeing, is you know, when it was say a greengrocer,
oh gosh,
that was selling fruit and veg,
yeah.
Okay,
seasonally,
seasonally, and you know, back in the distant past, you know, the greengrocer would know where all that fruit came from, that fruit and veg came from.
Yes.
It'd be the local farm, you know, and it'd be grown locally. It would be or shipped in locally or whatever. Not shipped in locally, but they would know that it was healthy stuff. It'd be naturally made stuff, right? So when the supermarkets and stuff, or the corporations moved in,
yeah,
right, then the thing about the corporations is that it's not about the actual product or the service that they're providing. It's no longer about that.
No.
It's about money now.
Yes.
Okay. So the concern isn't about providing you the best fruit and veg.
Yeah.
Now it's providing it as cheaply as possible
and efficiently as possible. And let me just add on to that while you continue. The banks now are also, if you wasn't aware, they're also now purchasing large volumes of housing stock, very large volumes, and holding on to that. So these repossessed homes that people are, you know, unfortunately are making not very good financial decisions in, you know, overbearing themselves with these huge mortgages, and these things happen with the utility, this depression that we're in, and they're defaulting. The banks are not even selling them on there. Oh, we'll have that. Let's rent it out. Let's get even more income out of this mortgage debt system that we've created.
Right. Well, when you say the banks, really what you've got to be saying is, you know, a group of families.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just one group of families. Yeah. So, so, you know, it's the group of families that's buying up all the farmland. It's this group of families that's buying up all the housing. Right. So they're controlling the food, they're controlling the shelter, they're controlling every aspect of our lives, so that we have to go to them for our survival,
for the basic necessities, food, clothing, and shelter. Yeah,
indeed. So that they can come along and say, well, in order for you to get the things that we own, that you need, you have to do as we say, and that is, you've got to take the digital ID and you've got to have the you know, the mark,
yes,
so that we can identify you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and you've got no choice. And this is where we're essentially on the cusp of, because what we're seeing in America right now is the beginning. Well, it's fairly well sort of advanced now. It's the beginning of the collapse of the system, only in respect of our ability to utilize it to survive.
Mm.
So, wages, jobs are disappearing to AI. Wages are, if you've got a job, they're static, but everything is going up.
Everything.
Especially your housing.
Mm.
Rents and mortgages going through the roof. Ability to buy food is getting very difficult now, and the food you can buy is all crap anyway. It's all
Yes.
poisonous.
Yeah.
So we're at the cusp of people begging the government to do something.
They want a
Because
solution.
exactly, is the whole problem reaction solution thing.
Mhm.
So the government are going to sit back, wait for this wave of suicides and
Yeah.
this massive outcry, and then they're going to jump up and say, "Oh, we've got the solution right here. It is digital ID. It is social credit system. It
Yeah.
is the mark,
Mm.
the chip, or whatever it is that will identify you at all times and follow your every movement and restrict you whenever they want to restrict you."
But the unique selling points, Dave, is you never need to carry anything again. You can pay everything with this little chip. You can get all your medical records are on there. No one can do the identity theft thing because that's the whole verification thing. These lemmings, unfortunately, Dave, they're gonna suck it up through the straw and they'll say, "Please, sir, can I have some more?"
Well, here's the thing. As far as I'm concerned, I don't want any of the benefits of their system. If it comes to it, I'm going to find my own food source. I'm going to live my own way if they'll let me. Well, then, so I say that if they'll let me. No, I'm going to do it anyway, and hopefully, well, it's not even a question of hopefully. I think there will be an underclass of people who won't go along with this system,
There will be an
and
underground. There will be an underground move.
I,
That's the only way to describe it.
I don't
People
know if
that
you've seen that.
go on.
Well, I was going to say, if you, I don't see, don't, no, I don't know if you've seen the film Demolition Man,
Come on. Come
right?
on. That's exactly what I'm talking about, sir.
Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, and Wesley Snipes. Yes,
Okay.
indeed. Indeed.
Yes. So there was a whole underclass, right?
Mhm.
And so you had this utopia society on the surface, but there was this whole underclass run by somebody called Edgar Friendly or something, and
Exactly.
uh, and and they would every so often do raids on this society to get food and stuff.
Hmm.
But it was a total underclass who didn't want to live in this utopia society thing, and that's what I think will have to happen if it manages to get to get installed. I don't think it will get installed.
No, because we're
um,
both positive and we can see that there are people who are slowly but surely waking up. The cup overfloweth. Before I was, the cup was half full kind of thing. But I have so much faith in humanity and mankind that um uh, the devil can plan and play, and he's the prince of this, of the air and of this plane of existence. But you know, who created it? If we go back to the essence of it, the Most High sees and knows all, and he's allowing certain things to take place at the moment. Certain things through ignorance and other bits and pieces, but there's no chance that it will come to pass, Dave. No chance.
right, yeah. Yeah, you're seeing the Blade Runners with
Yes.
fighting against the ULEZ thing, and the other day I just saw people in China, it was China or Hong Kong, also cutting down the facial recognition cameras. So the that sort of movement is spreading. So I mean, I say it's spreading. I think the French were already on that sort of tip anyway. But this is the thing. It's the resistance is growing.
Yeah.
So I'm encouraged by that. I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're having their own way anyway. I noticed it during the pandemic that they started with, was it monkeypox and tomato pox? I don't know if you come across that, and so tomato flu or whatever it was, and now they're trying to say that, oh no, bird flu is the one that's coming.
Yeah.
Oh no, there was even more. There was disease X. Remember?
Yeah, there's disease X, yes, and there's another new variant of the old zombie apocalypse called something, and it's a weird name. It's like an acronym kind of thing. These space monkeys, Dave, they're grasping at straws. But what is discouraging is that there's so many people who they talk a good game. They talk a good game. Like, yeah, Noble, Dave, I know what's going on, man. It's the government. The government, they're crazy. They're trying to kill us. They're chemtrailing. They're doing this. They're poisoning the water. We can't. Okay. But then their actions say something totally different. They literally say the right things, but then ingratiate themselves into the system even further. Like, you're supposed to be trying to slowly withdraw from the system, not jumping even further.
Admittedly, it's difficult for people who are newly awakened.
Yeah.
Because they wake up for COVID, but they haven't woken up to the masses of conspiracy that led up to this point. So for the most part, if you introduce something new to them, like the monetary system or like the healthcare system.
Yeah.
Well, healthcare, not so much healthcare system, but like any of the other conspiracies out there, they go back into muggle mode. And so, there does need to be a bit of a learning curve.
Yes.
To just awaken to the much larger conspiracy that's going on. And just in case anyone feels the need to say it's not everything's a conspiracy, well, actually it is. It is. Sorry.
I know. Sorry to burst the bubble, but it's and I think there's a term, Dave. I think is it black-pilled, being black-pilled when you just like to me it brings many different connotations when I hear that. When I first heard that before it was popularized, it means something totally different, being black-pilled. Now it seems that you're just, as you say, everything is a conspiracy, but you've just almost done with it and given up on even trying to battle for the good guys kind of thing. Where I don't think there's many people in that place. I think there's more people who are, the negative, obviously everything has polarities, and as I always say, shalom and balance, peace and balance. And what does that look like? For some people, it's I guess having one foot of sorts in the world where necessary to understand, overstand what's going on, but withdraw and study to show thyself approved, make the necessary decisions in your life to propel yourself to the destination where you need to get to. But there are other people who they're just literally stuck in the realms of listening to the conspiracy, but not allowing any of the information absorbed, which they can then repeat at the drop of a dime. They don't actualize in and manifest that in a physical. So there's no change to their life. They're still living in squalor. They're still overweight potentially, or anorexic, whatever it may be. There's no change. They've got all this information in the top of their heads, and they can tell you about JFK and there's a beautiful film and this and that. They can say all of this kind of stuff, and you look at them, and you can see the spirits. You can see in their eyes, like you're a long way. You've got a long way to go before you really get it. That's just a little slither of where you need to be.
Well, one of the things about the flat Earth, when you combine the flat Earth or the round Earth theory with the theory of evolution and the Big Bang theory, what it does is it renders you a microscopic blob of goo that's clinging to a speck of dust in an infinite void with trillions and trillions of specks of dust and potentially quadrillions and quadrillions of blobs of goo. And it's this massive, infinite, uncaring universe that came about by accident. Okay, so it means you've got no purpose. It means that there's nothing special about you, right? And so we look to others, more powerful people on this earth, to give us a purpose, and they've given us a really crappy purpose actually, which is get good grades at school, get a good job, earn lots of money, buy meaningless crap, buy bigger, faster, meaningless crap, and then die. Right. So if you've got that ingrained, in the back of your psyche, right, and you find out all this stuff, you're stuck. It's all the conspiracy stuff. You're still stuck in the what can I do about it mode, because it's just little old me. I'm nothing. I'm worthless. What can I do about it?
That's it. And to a point, I guess, if we all look back at some point, you think you do. I think I have, being honest, I think I have at some point said, what outside of the obvious, Dave, which I think the Most High, imbued me with a lot of sense. Once I grasped onto or understood 9/11, what on earth? They sacrificed what? Huh? And that was in 2002. So then the journey was, okay, what else? So if they've done this in this recent time, which I'm alive, and I was in the Twin Towers, what, 4 years prior? I'm like, huh? Well, so then you question, okay, well, why would they do that? And then, okay, so that leads you down multiple different rabbit holes. But then I started thinking, okay, oh, you don't eat pork. Oh, okay. Cow pus, what's that? Why on earth are adults, human beings, and mankind drinking cow pus past being a infant? Aspartame, asfluctame, and fluoride. And then I started to say, well, wait a minute. Do I just talk to people about this? Or do I say, I'm going to make a change? So I'm not going to do the cow pus anymore. I won't do tap water. And you start to make a change. So I've always thought, whatever information I gain, how can I use it? How is that beneficial to me? If it's not beneficial to me, or if I can't impart that information to help somebody else, it's worth nothing to me.